Imagine receiving an unexpected email from your employer. Congratulations, you've earned a $20,000 performance bonus. For most people, that kind of money feels life-changing. But what happens next often determines far more than their next purchase. It determines their financial future. Meet Daniel and Chris, two coworkers, same company, same age, same salary. They worked side by side for nearly 7 years. They shared coffee breaks, complained about the same deadlines, dreamed about becoming financially successful one day. Then one Friday afternoon, both of them received exactly the same $20,000 bonus. Neither of them knew it yet, but that single moment would quietly divide their lives forever. One decision would slowly create wealth. The other would slowly destroy it. Because becoming rich rarely depends on how much money you receive.
On paper, Daniel and Chris looked almost identical. Both were 35 years old. Both earned nearly $90,000 a year. Both were married. Both had one young child. They lived only a few streets apart. Their neighbors couldn't tell the difference. Even their bank accounts looked remarkably similar. If you had met them that year, you would probably have predicted they would retire with similar lives. But wealth isn't created by starting in a better position. It's created by making better decisions after the starting line. Daniel believed every dollar could become an employee working for him.
Chris didn't waste much time. The following weekend, he walked into a luxury dealership. The polished floors reflected rows of brand new SUVs. A salesman greeted him with a smile. Leather seats, premium sound system, panoramic roof. Every feature made the purchase feel exciting. Chris told himself, "I've worked hard. I deserve this." He used his bonus as the down payment. The monthly payments seemed manageable. Driving home, he felt successful. Friends admired the vehicle. Neighbors noticed. Social media filled with compliments. But beneath that excitement, something invisible had already begun. The moment the SUV left the dealership, it started losing value. Every month, it would continue costing him money. Without realizing it, Chris hadn't bought an investment.
While Chris admired his new SUV, Daniel was sitting at his kitchen table with a notebook, a laptop, and a simple question. How can this money keep working long after it's gone? He wasn't looking for excitement. He was looking for ownership. After several days of research, he divided his $20,000 carefully. A portion went into a diversified ETF, another into high-quality dividend stocks. He enrolled in an online course to improve his investment knowledge. He even set aside money to begin saving for a small rental property. None of these purchases impressed anyone. His friends didn't congratulate him. No one liked a photo of his ETF portfolio. But Daniel understood something most people overlooked. Assets are silent. They don't attract attention. They quietly create opportunities. Every dollar he invested became another employee, working 24 hours a day. While Chris bought something that would slowly lose value, Daniel bought things that had the potential to grow.
5 years passed. The difference was impossible to ignore. Chris still loved his SUV, but it had already lost nearly half its value. The monthly payments continued. Insurance costs increased. Maintenance became more expensive every year. His paycheck still disappeared, almost as quickly as it arrived. Daniel's life looked very different.
His investment portfolio had grown steadily. Dividends arrived every quarter. His savings had helped him purchase his first rental property. That property now generated monthly income. His money was quietly producing more money. Neither man had received another huge bonus. Neither had won the lottery. The only difference was one decision made 5 years earlier. One bought a depreciating expense. The other bought.
At this point, you might be wondering, what exactly is an asset? The answer is surprisingly simple. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's it.
A rental property that generates positive cash flow is an asset. A business that earns profits while you sleep is an asset. Dividend-paying stocks, index funds, royalties from a book, even valuable skills that increase your income can all become assets. On the other hand, a luxury car with monthly payments, credit card debt, expensive gadgets purchased on impulse, they don't produce income. They consume it. Wealthy people don't ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "Will this purchase make me money or cost me money?" That single question has quietly changed the financial future of millions of people.
If buying assets leads to wealth, why do so many intelligent people keep buying liabilities? The answer has very little to do with money. It has everything to do with psychology. From the moment we wake up, we're surrounded by advertisements telling us what success should look like. A luxury car, a designer watch, the newest smartphone, a bigger house. Every commercial sends the same message. Buy this, and people will admire you. Social media reinforces that belief every single day. We compare our lives to carefully edited highlights. We begin to believe that looking successful is the same as becoming successful. But appearances can be expensive. Chris wasn't irresponsible. He simply followed the path that millions of people follow. He spent money to signal success. Daniel followed a different path. He used money to create more money. One mindset seeks approval. The other seeks freedom. And over time, those two paths lead to completely different destinations.
Imagine receiving an extra $10,000 tomorrow. What would be your first instinct? A vacation? A new car? Maybe a luxury watch? Most people think about what they can buy. Wealthy people think about what that money can earn. They ask a completely different question. How can this money produce even more money? That's why many successful investors buy assets before they buy luxuries. First comes the rental property, then the vacation. First comes the investment portfolio, then the luxury car. First comes the business, then the larger house. They don't avoid enjoying life. They simply change the order. Income comes first. Lifestyle comes second. Because when assets pay for your luxuries, you no longer depend entirely on your paycheck. Your money begins working alongside you instead of waiting to be spent. One of the biggest myths about investing is that you need a fortune to begin. You don't. Every millionaire started with a first asset. For some, it was a single share of stock. For others, a small side business, a course that increased their skills, a used laptop that helped launch an online business, a simple index fund. The value of your first asset isn't what matters most. The habit is. Because buying one asset changes the way you think. Instead of asking, "What can I spend this money on?" you begin asking, "What
what can this money become? That small shift is where wealth begins. Daniel's first investment wasn't extraordinary, but it taught him something priceless. Money isn't just something you spend, it's something you can put to work. And once you understand that, you'll never look at money the same way again.
20 years ago, Daniel made a decision that hardly anyone noticed. He bought his first asset. It wasn't glamorous. It didn't impress anyone. But something remarkable happened. That first investment began producing income. Instead of spending that income, Daniel reinvested it. Those investments generated even more income, which purchased even more assets. His rental property helped finance another.
20 years passed. Daniel and Chris were now both 55 years old. Once again, they met for lunch. This time, the conversation felt different. Chris was still working full-time. His income was good, but so were his expenses. Car payments, insurance, home upgrades. Lifestyle inflation had quietly followed him for decades. Daniel looked much the same as he always had. Simple clothes, a reliable car, no expensive watch. But beneath that ordinary appearance, his life had completely changed.
Before you leave, I want you to think about your very next purchase. Not next year, not next month, the very next one. Maybe it's a new phone, a new car, a luxury item you've been wanting for a long time. Before you spend that money, pause for just a moment. Ask yourself one simple question. Will this purchase put money into my pocket or take money out of it? Because that single question has quietly shaped the lives of millions of people. Daniel didn't become wealthy because he earned more. He became wealthy because he trained himself to think differently. Every dollar became a decision. Every purchase became a vote for the future he wanted to build. Financial freedom isn't created overnight. It's created one decision at a time. So, the next time money lands in your account, ask yourself, am I buying an asset or another liability? Your answer might shape the next 20 years of your life.